Close your eyes. I'm taking you back exactly 4.2 million years. The world was very different from today. Vast savannas, dangerous predators, and our ancestors living on the thin line between life and death. But we are not the heroes of this story. This story is about one of the most mysterious children of human history, Homo erectus. I call him the lost child of time because he paved the way for modern humans, yet his name remains overshadowed in history books. The world, 4.2 million years ago. Exactly 4.2 million years ago, our planet was in a different phase. Most of the African continent was transforming from tropical forests into vast savannas. The climate was changing, and open spaces were replacing the forests. This change shaped not only the fate of animals, but also that of human ancestors. Because finding food had become difficult, and the threat from predators had increased. And at this point, walking on two legs was no longer just a chance. It had become a necessity for survival. 2. The ancestors of Homo erectus. Now I'm going to tell you something very important. The story of Homo erectus dates back 4.2 million years. At that time, Australopithecus afarensis was on the scene. You've probably heard of Lucy. That famous fossil was one of the most iconic representatives of this period. Lucy and her species had begun to walk upright, but their brains were still small, and their use of tools was limited. So, what does this show? For the first time on the stage of humanity, a species had emerged that relied not only on its muscles, but also on its intelligence to adapt to its environment. Lucy played the role of the grandmother who paved the way for Homo erectus. Without her, Homo erectus would never have come into being. 3. The emergence of Homo erectus. About 2 million years ago, Homo erectus took the stage. And believe me, this species created one of the most dramatic turning points in history. Homo erectus was the first species to control fire, migrate long distances, and engage in systematic hunting. Without them, we wouldn't be here today on YouTube. But let's rewind a bit. Back to 4.2 million years ago, Homo erectus didn't exist yet. So, why do I call this section the lost child of time? Because the seeds of their birth were sown precisely during this period. Lucy and her cousins took the first steps in using intelligence to survive in nature. It is this genetic legacy that was passed on to Homo erectus. 4. What fossils tell us? Scientists have found Homo erectus fossils in many parts of Africa today. Lake Turkana in Kenya is one of the most important discoveries. The Turkana boy fossil found there is an almost complete Homo erectus skeleton. This shows us that they were not only muscular and resilient, but also incredibly adaptable creatures. But the truly exciting part is this. Homo erectus's body structure was almost identical to that of modern humans. Long legs, upright posture, broad torso. They were truly the lost children of time, because they were both our ancestors and disappeared from their own story. 5. Hunters and being hunted. Imagine, 4 million years ago, the silence of the night was filled with the roars of lions and the howls of jackals. A group of hominids, armed with crude stones, were hunting. They were the weakest link in nature. No claws, no sharp teeth, but they had one advantage: their intelligence. Homo erectus took this advantage to the peak. Stone tools were used not only for cutting food, but also for hunting and protection. This was one of the greatest leaps in human history. Because nature did not give us strength. We learned to create strength with intelligence. 6. The intelligence explosion. The greatest gift Homo erectus gave us was intelligence. Their brains reached up to 1,000 cubic centimeters. That's much larger than Australopithecus. This size enabled planning, division of labor, hunting strategies, and perhaps even the seeds of an early language. Think about that. Small steps taken 4.2 million years ago led to a species that can watch YouTube videos millions of years later. Isn't that incredible? 7. The legacy of the lost child. Homo erectus survived for approximately 2 million years. That's a record in human history. They spread from Indonesia to China, from Africa to the Middle East. So what happened next? Over time, Homo sapiens took the stage, us, and Homo erectus faded into the dusty pages of history. But what they left behind became the cornerstones of humanity. Fire, tools, migration, intelligence. Without them, we wouldn't exist. That's why Homo erectus is the lost child of time. Friends, this story that began 4.2 million years ago continues with us today. We live in a world they could never have imagined, but we must never forget. It all began with those first steps. So, what do you think the world would be like today if Homo erectus hadn't disappeared? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to subscribe for the next installment, because in the next episode, we'll discuss one of the most remarkable discoveries in human history, the secret of fire. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time. See you in the next video.